know that the trade deadline isn't until March 3rd, but as the calendar begins to flip to December, that's when conversations are really expected to begin in earnest between the Blackhawks and the Kane and Taves camp, which is interesting enough in that they're both represented by the same agent in CAA Sports, Pat Brisson. They both have identical contracts at $10.5 million and have all of the same clauses in which Kane and Taves hold the key. Now, it's interesting because we know that Kane has been a sought after or would be a sought after commodity. That's been one of the biggest storylines of the season. But the year that Taves has had to this point, he's sort of turned back the clock. He looks a lot more like the player that we knew and loved from all of the success that he had with the Blackhawks. Obviously, he's not quite up to that level at this age of 34, but still a welcomed and big addition for a team. And that would be welcome news for the Blackhawks, who weren't really sure what to expect from Taves, who had a down year last year. And the season before that, of course, he missed in its entirety. So those guys hold all of the keys. And I think when you look at in terms of how this might play out, we're saying, well, what's the playbook here, Mike? The playbook is the Claude Giroux deal with the Philadelphia Flyers last year. Obviously, their captain plays 1,000 games in a Flyers uniform and is traded shortly thereafter. These guys have already accomplished and won everything that you possibly can. It's going to be completely up to them as to how it works and where they go. But the same agent also represented Giroux. And I think it's an important deal to point out because both in terms of package and how it was managed up to that point, it's probably going to feel very similar for the Chicago Blackhawks this time around, plus or minus, depending on how you feel about Kane and Taves in relation to Giroux in terms of what type of package comes back. But first round pick, a former first round pick in Owen Tippett, those types of players and pieces will be involved in this type of transaction, I would imagine, whenever it happens, if it happens before the March 3rd trade deadline.